Welcome to the program. I'm Megyn Kelly, and we begin today with four of the most accomplished athletes in America. Together here for the first time with a warning for parents about brain health and sports. First, some background. In February on this program, we sat down with former NFL player Mike Adamle and discussed his struggle with the lasting effects of traumatic brain injury from his years in sports. Well, after seeing that segment, former NFL quarterback Brett Favre reached out to us and had a lot to say about concussions and the effect those injuries have had on his own career, as well as his fear for kids playing contact sports. Before we knew it, a group of NFL MVPs and World Series winners and gold medalists were in touch with us with stories and warnings of their own. But first, Brett Favre. Super Bowl 31 champion quarterback and three-time NFL Most Valuable Player Brett Favre broke just about every passing record in football over his 20-year career.
Brett's hit and thrown down. Brett very slow to get up.
But those wins and records came at a price.
Brett Favre has a concussion, so his return is extremely doubtful.
It was one or two plays into the second quarter. I throw a little swing pass to the left. The guy just kind of bumps into me. Harmless hit, no big deal. And as I'm falling to the turf, the side of my head hits the turf, and man, the lights were out.
In a recent documentary, Shocked, produced by Favre, he shines a light on concussions in sports and what needs to be done to reduce the risk for all athletes.
We do know about concussions and head injuries, although not a great deal, but what we know is it's not good. You know, it's not repairable.
And it's not just professional football players who suffer concussions.
When my head hit the turf, it hit it so hard with so much impact that it bounced up and hit it again, causing me to get whiplash and a sprained neck.
Gracie Hussey was in 7th grade when she suffered her second concussion, and she hasn't been the same since.
I just don't feel normal. I haven't felt normal since I was 13 years old, and I'm now 17.
Favre also has strong feelings about his own children playing football.
If I had a son myself, I suppose I could make him not play, but I would really, really strongly discourage him from the play. And that seems to surprise people when I tell them that. So what? You're the Iron Man. You don't remember what you're doing. You can't remember where your car keys are, how to get home. I can only hope and pray that at 55 or at 60, I don't suffer the same things that some of these other guys that were portrayed in the movie suffered.
And Brett Favre joins us now via remote. Brett, thank you so much for being here. The number of years you played, about 20. Over that time, how many concussions would you say you suffered?
That I know of, 3, 4 maybe. Mm-hmm. But as we're learning about concussions, there's a term that is often used in football and maybe in other sports that I got dinged. And as Dr. Amalu, who was portrayed by Will Smith in the movie Concussion, has said, dinged is a concussion. When you have ringing of the ears, seeing stars, that's a concussion. And if that is a concussion, I've had hundreds, probably thousands, throughout my career.
Wow. Which
is frightening.
When you're playing, there's of course an attitude of you play hurt, players play hurt. Mm-hmm. Did you realize at the time this was happening how dangerous it could potentially be for you?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not until I played 20 years, year 18, 19, 20 is when the NFL implemented the concussion protocol testing. I haven't played 17 years up to that point. My baseline test, which they did maybe in year 18, which kind of gives you a where you are at this point in your career, there had been an enormous amount of injury that had taken place in those 17, 18 years. So, my test was skewed somewhat. So really then, at that point, in my career, and at that point in the NFL's early stages, there was nothing prior to that.
Right.
You saw older players, retired players, and they would walk with a limp. And you saw that's what I'm going to look like someday when I play. That's the price that you pay. And now I think the focus is on your mental health. You're going to have knee, and you're going to have hip, and you're going to have shoulder, and you're going to have those type of issues. That's just part of it. But head injuries and concussions were never considered a problem for long term.
Right, and your brain
until now.
Your brain is who you are. I mean, your brain, it's different than having a hurt knee. Your brain is who you are and how you love
Right.
and how you interact with the world. What symptoms have you suffered?
Well, I consider myself somewhat fortunate up to this point, because having played 20 years and 19 and maybe I think 19 and 2 games were nonstop without ever missing. So that being said, you would think that there would be a lot more damage, not only to the brain but to the body. But I feel as though I'm lucky at this point. But I do have some. One of the things I think that helped me throughout my career was I was able to. I can't say that I was the best player, but I remembered defenses and names and plays. And in fact, I could go back and call the high school plays that I had ran. And to a certain degree, I can still do that. But I find that more short-term memory, someone I met 6 months ago, it has, in other words, it has gotten a lot worse in regards to short-term, simple words that normally would come out easy in a conversation. I'll stammer. And look, I'm 48 years old, haven't played 20 years. Could it just be, as we all like to say as we get a little bit older, it's like, yeah, I forgot my keys and they were in my hand, or I wear my glasses and they're on your head. You know, I wonder if that's what it is, or do I have early stages of CTE? I don't know. So
That's one of the problems with
wonder.
CTE is you can't know until after you're dead. They don't know until they can take a look at your brain, dissect your brain. Brett, I know that you've said you're afraid. You're afraid of what 60 is going to look like, of what 70 is going to look like. I mean, how active a part of your life is that fear of waking up tomorrow and not knowing where this is going?
Well, you know, the thing about CTE and head injuries is that I'll have someone say, man, you look like you're in great shape, you're taking good care of yourself, and I say, thank you, I'm trying to do my best. But the thing about what little we know about the brain and the injuries and CTE is that tomorrow could be totally different. Tomorrow I may be in great health, but I don't know who I am and where I'm going. So it can happen overnight, and I know it's not as dramatic as that, but that's the scary thing. And so no matter what I do to try to take care of myself physically, that is a part of my future that I really can't control, and that is very scary.
I know you say if you had sons, you would not let them play football. You have grandsons who you don't want playing football. Do you wish you hadn't played football?
No, I don't wish I wouldn't. My football career has meant a great deal to me and has provided a lot of things, a lot of joy for not only me, but for my family. Now, my family doesn't have to face the physical problems that potentially could arise, or mental problems that could, but you know, they are directly associated with me in that regard. So, you know, it's kind of a blessing and a curse. I grew up playing football. My dad was my coach. He was tough on me. He was a hard-nosed, just in-your-face type of guy. And He didn't know what concussions were about. We knew that basically what a concussion was, but the thought process back then in those days was you would never come out of a game or practice because you had a little head ding. You would be considered, for lack of a better term, a sissy. And my point in all this is 30 years ago, there wasn't a problem in anyone's mind from playing football. It was a matter of just being tough, and the ones who stuck it out and made the most of it. But now what we know is it has nothing to do with toughness, and that's a lot scarier. And so I don't look at my career. I look at it as being something wonderful. I didn't know, but had I known in year 5, I probably would have looked at my future a little bit closer as my career unfolded.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.